little adjustment as we pause to reflect on Remembrance Day. And I find myself in many different situations as I stand before the congregation at many different times. Speechless is not a common thing for me. Not being sure where to begin, what to say, how to approach a time that is at once so clarifying and so confusing. It makes me wonder how people felt at the time when the largest number of Canadians and the largest number of Jews who were Canadian put on a uniform in order to defend the free world, in order to defend our way of life here in Canada, in order to stop the genocide against our people. Their sacrifice was not only about their day, but about the hopes of a better time, about creating the possibility where the world could be governed not by maniacs, but by values, not by those who force themselves upon weakened populations, but those who are chosen by those who are governed in order to represent them and hopefully represent a better, more peaceful world. I find it hard to believe that it's a coincidence that we find ourselves at the juncture of saying goodbye to so many individuals who lived through those times and entering a time where people seem to have completely forgotten the messages that those times were really about. It is a painful time, and yet I think as we remember today is, after all, first and foremost, Remembrance Day. We have to find a way to do so in a personal way, to remember that eventually all of these issues are not issues in politics, but are about people and their lives and their ability to live a life of meaning and significance. And we gathered as a Jewish community to recognize that we cannot take for granted in any time, least of all these times, the right to be a Jew, the right to live in a society that affirms the right of minorities and the right of Jewish people to live a life safely and securely as who we are. And I think this morning, as we reflect on those who have sacrificed their time and their own, risked their lives, as well as those who paid the ultimate price in losing their lives in battle for something that we all and that they believed in. It is a time that is very painful to realize lessons that have not been learned. One of a history that I really appreciate of the Second World War is this book. It's called Witness to War. It's a history of the European theater in the Middle East of the Second World War, entirely excerpted from journals and letters written back and forth between those serving in the armed forces and their families, organized as a history, because there's nothing abstract about what's going on. I catch myself willing myself in the current crisis in which we find ourselves, where as Israel fights a terrorist enemy for her very existence and her ability to exist safely, I find myself waiting for people to wake up to the reality of what's happened, for people to realize that while there's proof after proof, not only of the brutality of Hamas, but of their brutal and murderous cynicism in placing their terrorist infrastructure in the most civilian of places. And when Hamas spokespeople, if we can call them that, didn't hesitate, as they did this week, to stand in front of Western journalists and say they take no responsibility for the day-to-day needs of Palestinian civilians in Gaza, something they've said quite clearly to Western media. In honor of Remembrance Day this year, I've decided to stop waiting for people to wake up and accept that the truth is the truth. This is not likely to happen any more than it happened in the Second World War. It's an excerpt from a journal from England, in Brighton, in June of 1943, a time when it was already well known about the Nazi atrocities against the Jewish people. There was evidence in the press. There was no question of what was happening at that time. And Mrs. Henry Dudney, novelist and local conservationist, wrote the following on refugees and rumors of enemy agents in Brighton in June of 1943. She writes, "Emily told me about the raid at Brighton, the worst they've had. A big bit of the railway viaduct broke, so no trains through London Road Station." It's about bombing, German bombing in England. In Springfield Road, many houses had broken windows, damaged roofs, ceilings down, and so on. Her house escaped. People machine-gunned in the street. The official list of killed 24 and injured 51. One woman stuck her head out of the window. That was the end. Brighton full of Germans, especially women married to Englishmen. People are saying that by the Morse code. They tell the Germans when the weather and other factors are suitable for raids. Altogether, there are too many aliens in this country. Poles trying to widen the breach between Poland and Russia, and Jews with their black markets and dog racing. Eden himself admitted that it would not be wise to admit more Jews, as there is already a strong anti-Semitic feeling. It's not Berlin in the 30s in our world today. It's not. But the echoes are painful. After Hitler told everyone in the world, in writing, who he was, and the world chose not to believe him, costing the deaths of untold individuals and the murder of so many and 6 million of our people. And we live in times, again, where murderous terrorists, in this case, have told everyone who they are and what their intention is. And the refusal to believe has its cost and will continue to have so. And not only that, it is the reality with which we live that is so deeply affected. Children in their schools, just down the street from here, at Faywood, where Temple Sinai once held its religious school before we had a building, swarmed for being identifiably Jewish and or Israeli. Happening so many places. The placing of posters on the Indigo location downtown because it is a Jewish-owned business with red paint and accusations against us of genocide. It's not time for us to wait for others to wake up. It's time for us to wake up ourselves. Time for us to honor the memories of those who have served in the past by understanding we have a kind of service to provide today, which is not to be silent, which is to stand up with and for our generation and the next generation of Jews in this place and say we will not accept this kind of hateful behavior. There is no justification possible for the acceptance of this kind of cruelty and this kind of hatred that poisons a society. And all of this is, in fact, the program of the terrorists in the Middle East, who do not represent Arabs or Muslims or Palestinians any more than they represent others. They represent themselves, a hateful group designed to destroy those very Western values that those that we wear the poppy to honor stood for. But as I said, I don't want the danger today is being too abstract. And there is, I have to say, for me, I'm sure for others as well, nothing abstract about what's going on in the world today. Whether it is here in Canada, where I'm constantly being reached by those members of our congregation who do not feel safe at work, who do not feel secure in what they're sending their children to when they send them to schools at any level, least of all when they're sending their children onto university and college campuses in the world in which we exist today. And we must stand and respond at this time. We're working right now with CJPAC in our community to come up with the most effective program for our members to be engaged in, to stand up and to say, especially to those in our own community who are in charge of schools and in charge of workplaces, and to say anti-Semitism must not be tolerated in any of these places. It must be rejected and fought every day. It's something that we will stand with. And again, as I said, it's not abstract. I don't know how families dealt with the sacrifice made by their loved ones, and I don't claim to understand. At the same time, I stood before you a month ago or so, expressing my own deep concern for my own relatives and friends who were fighting Hamas in Gaza, and who were going to risk their lives to do just that. And I say to you with an unexpected and bizarre mixture personally of pain and relief, that my cousin Hanania, who I named in that sermon, was wounded on Wednesday, commanding an Israeli tank in Gaza. 30-year-old Hanania, with his 4 children, has shrapnel wounds and a broken bone from which he will completely recover. I am pained and I am relieved, because it means that's the extent of the sacrifice that he will be asked for in this current battle. And likewise, so many still do not know. We have to honor the sacrifices we will continue to do of all those who serve, of those who serve today, of those who served in the past, because the reason they did all that just came into the back of the sanctuary. And I mean that very sincerely. The reason to stand and do what is right is for those who can't understand what I'm saying right now and who deserve to live a life in a society that was protected by the service of those who served in the past, and that is ours to protect and defend and promote in today's world.